What's up, Legion? I know this is a little weird because this is a review episode, but conspicuous by his absence, he's not feeling well. Maybe he's not feeling well because he lost. Oh, weird. All of a sudden, he's not feeling well. Is Mr. Showtime. I, of course, am Steve Zapf, your honorable leader, and the winner this time. The winner. With me, as always, my boy Hound. Hound Dog, how you doing today?
I was disappointed in myself with the picks. I was disappointed in myself for completely misremembering an entire series that made me pick something a certain way. And
now here we are.
I definitively lost, and I will own it.
So we are going to review AEW's Wrestle Dream 2024. This, of course, is the pay-per-view to try to honor Antonio Inoki, wrestling's original dreamer, as they say. It is put on by Antonio Kanoki. Yeah, that's right. I said it. Yeah, I said it.
Yeah, look, I want to go home, and I'm home. That's what that just did to me. I'm at home, and I want to go there.
So Hound, real quick, I obviously Showtime's not here. Unfortunately, he really is not feeling well, and it feels like we're just fighting uphill with a lot of these programs the last couple of weeks between hurricanes and work stuff, outside business ventures, and just life in general, illnesses. Everyone is kind of we are trying to reset ourselves back to what we are supposed to be. So, Legion, we appreciate that you are sticking it out with us right now. And honestly, we have a lot of really cool stuff coming around the bend. I mentioned it in some of the other one of the other episodes that I just dropped, and that's we have merchandise coming out soon. This is really exciting. We are even going to have Hound size merchandise, just to let you know. Hound size merchandise. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be epic. But Hound, I actually, dare I say, liked this pay-per-view, and I kind of thought I was going to. Part of it is, though, is you have to look at this pay-per-view almost as the first half of it actually has to be looked at as almost like a standalone pay-per-view, like a standalone show.
I see where you're going with that. I will say I was pleasantly surprised with Wrestle Dream. My only critiques for any AEW pay-per-view, can we please cut it down to just friggin' 8 matches? Like, and even that's 8 is a lot. Like, or what was that old show? 8 is enough. But like, so 97. They don't have 97 people on the roster, but they had 97 damn matches.
They kind of did. So I'm going to bring this up because you can say it's not on the main card, so it's not really what happened, or it wasn't really on the pay-per-view, but if it's on the show, it's in the building, it's part of the pay-per-view technically, right? Like that's still the way, like old school wrestling, you got, if you wrestled on the pre-show, you still got paid like you were on the pay-per-view, right? So here's the thing. There were 13 matches. There were 4 matches on the pre-show. If you got there in the beginning, there is no way that by the end you don't have a little bit of wrestling fatigue, right? Like it's got, like you're gonna be worn out by the end of all of this.
Yeah, it's like if you're trying to do a giant eating challenge involving a dessert. It starts off all wonderful and tastes delicious, and by the end, you're like, dude, I don't want any more of this.
Why
enough is enough.
This?
It may start off fantastic.
It can't be like what is it? What's the line? You gotta start strong and you gotta end strong. You can't be like pancakes where it starts off great and by the end you're fucking sick of them.
Well, I will say this. Out of all of the AEW pay-per-views, I thought this one they did the best with that I've seen. So
So
I will give them a golf clap for that.
so I do like this pay per view. Let me point this out. I like the main card of this pay per view.
Yes.
My main issue, which is what's one of the things that we do critique AEW sometimes, is that they do too much, and in this case, it was too many matches because there's 9 matches on the regular card and 4 matches on the pre-show, which means by the time you get to match number 2 on the main card, you're actually on match number 6. I will say this though.
He's right.
Yeah, I actually I mathed correctly. The math was mathing this time. I will say this. The first 4 matches on the card, I am the happiest with. The first 3 matches on the card are actually my favorite matches on the card. And out of those 3 matches, one of them will be my favorite match out of the whole thing. But I was pleasantly and shockingly surprised at how good Jack Perry and Shibata was. Like, I knew this was going to be the best Jack Perry match that we had seen probably ever, except for maybe Bryan Danielson. But this is the best I've seen of Shibata during this whole thing. And the things that Shibata did in the match, which we'll get more into when we get to that match, obviously. But I was very, very impressed with this match.
Yeah, I see where you're going with that. I think Jack Perry had his best match with Shibata out of fear.
I'm a little afraid of Shibata at this point.
Fear is a motivator, and Shibata is a
he's a shooter.
He will hit you good. And he won't William Regal you. He won't hit you hard in safe places. He'll hit you hard in the mouth.
So, Hound, am I just automatically assuming that Mariah and Willow was your favorite match?
No. Truthfully, Hangman Page and Jay White I thought it was fantastic.
I thought that was a hell of an opener, man. Like for all the things that we ever say about AEW, they put on a good pay-per-view. Like straight wrestling, just thinking about a wrestling match. They do very well with this type of stuff, because my issue with what they do on their weekly program sometimes is that they do what they do on their pay-per-views. But on their pay-per-views, it all makes sense because it's a big show and you need that big show feel. So with that said, I think we should just get into this. Let's just talk about this show. As of right now, I am the definitive winner. I almost batted 1,000 on this show as far as correct picks. And then a plastic bag came back into play. But we'll get into that later. The opening match of the show is Hangman Adam Page versus Jay White. And this was actually one of the ones that I got right that everyone else got wrong. I picked Jay White. You guys both picked Hangman Adam Page. Now then, I really like this match, but Hound, since this is your favorite match on here, I'm going to let you go first on this one. Because I feel like you'll encompass some of the things that I loved about this match, because this was your go-to on here.
So when we were making our picks for this, I thought that Page was riding too high, and to have him lose in that moment, because I was making the distinction that I thought we were going to kind of set some levels, and Jay White was going to be paired with an Okada. Now, with the way some other things have shaken out, completely makes sense. I think what this match, the biggest takeaway I had from it was you had two guys who had incredible chemistry. They had it back when the few times they crossed paths in New Japan, even if it wasn't a one-on-one match, even if it was just segments and this, that, and the third. But Jay White and Adam Page, much the way Adam Page and Swerve Strickland have chemistry, they've got that with each other. And to be honest, I'm glad it went the way it went, because Jay White should be in the conversation for who's gunning for that title, because he has everything you're looking for. He's strong on the mic. He's strong in the ring. The dude looks incredible. Aesthetically, his body's like that, and handsome dude. He's got everything you're looking for, where you can put something on him, and he can play. He can play a face well, but my God, can he play a bad guy?
I'm gonna say this because I've been a little overly critical of Jay White in his time in AEW. And because I like his stuff in New Japan, that's the thing. That's why I'm overly critical of him. This is the best Jay White I have seen in AEW. This was by a mile. And this is honestly one of the best versions of Hangman Page that I've seen in AEW in a while. Yes, Hangman has his chemistry, as we said, with Swerve. But when you take him out of that Swerve bubble, can he perform with everyone else? And these two guys kicked off this card amazingly. My only issue with this match, and it's only because of what follows it, I don't like that this was the opening match on the card. I love that. I like it. I don't like it. Let me clarify. I love that they started off hot with this as the opening match. I would not have followed this with the match that they follow it with for several reasons, and we'll get into it soon. But at the end of this match, we get Jay White going over clean on Hangman Page. That's a big deal.
It is. And
that puts you in the conversation now.
Yes, that's the whole thing. Is I go back to my thought process behind the way I had made my picks was I didn't think, not that Jay White couldn't hang, because Jay White's already shown in the oh my gosh, the tournament escapes me in New Japan right now.
The G1 Climax.
Thank you. We've already seen that Jay White and Moxley can go together. They've met in the G1. And I didn't think that they were billing Jay White that way. And now it's unmistakable. Like you've put him solidly in the conversation. And if anybody says otherwise, or if they don't capitalize on this, you wasted that victory and that clean victory. And that the big distinction, if there was shenanigans and a win, it's one thing, but clean, center of the ring clean, like Blade Runner 1, 2, 3 clean.
And the way he hit it was beautiful. The way they came into that move was awesome. Off of the, you've been working the leg, you don't know if you can hit the buckshot. He comes over, he has to stumble for a second because of his knee, and then just right into the blade. It was beautifully done. Yeah. Beautifully done. I popped when it happened. The other thing is with this, I don't think that we're looking at Jay White going after Moxley. I mean, I could see it, but I think right now, unfortunately, Moxley and that group is operating at a different level currently.
Well, I'm not suggesting that he needs to. I'm saying he's in the conversation.
I will say this. I would be really happy to see. We'll get more into it later, but
we're burying the lead a little bit. But
yeah, I would like to see Jay White go after the international title.
Yeah,
I could see that being. I could see that being a lot of fun.
I think Jay White and the person who left WrestleDream with the international title, as to not bury that lead right now, will put on a great
great match. So let's go away from this. Again, this was a
And the last crystallizing point, the reason why it was my favorite of the night, because it was great, told the story the way it needed to. They had a wonderful finish, a clean finish, and it was just a wrestling match.
It was just a wrestling match. They didn't do anything overly
It got Hangman out of the
absurd.
death match thing.
I agree, and it gives him a chance to kind of keep doing this with Jay White for a little bit, which I could see this being the next, I don't know, 2 months or something like that.
Not a bad way to spend the end of the year.
Exactly. So, second match on the card, and again, this is the only reason why I did not like the match placement of Jay White and Hangman, is because the second match on the card is Mariah May and Willow Nightingale for the AEW Women's Championship. Unfortunately, my issue with this the only issue I have with this match is its placement. It gets a little buried behind this Hangman Page match. And unfortunately, as I said, because of the other 4 matches, this is now match number 6. And you've already had a women's match at this point on the countdown. You've had a title change hand by this point. You already had the conglomeration out there. Like, there's just been a lot that was going on in the pre-show. And then you get Jay White and Hangman Adam Page putting on, I'm looking at the time for it now, they went 16 minutes, just over 16 minutes. 16 minutes and 20 seconds. And put on a classic. They put on a classic. Mariah May and Willow Nightingale went out there and did a 10-minute match, and it was awesome. Let me just start that off. This match was amazing, and I said this was going to be one of my favorite matches on the card. Everything Mariah May is doing right now is hitting. It is dead on. She is the wicked, the beautiful, wicked woman that you want to hate, but you also know that if she, give you one of these, you'd still ruin your life for her. And for the record, every man that's listening to this knows exactly the woman I'm talking about. Because we've all had them.
Unfortunately,
we all know.
Unfortunately for me, it's always been attached to a big butt and a smile. But
and here you got Willow, which, there you go, buddy.
What do you think is happening? I'm being fooled by a big butt and a smile yet again.
This match was awesome, though. This was a really good match. The Mariah May is doing great stuff. Willow is doing great stuff. I don't know if I needed Willow in the title picture, but I knew this was going to be a good match. And Hound, I know you kind of feel the same way about both these ladies.
So, this is like, we'll go back to, and it's something it's a phrase I used before I had joined the show when we were talking about all the way back at like WrestleMania stuff. And when I was saying, if not Cody, who? Well, if not Willow in that spot, because who is going to come out the other side losing and still being okay? Willow's riding a track record of getting out there and just putting on phenomenal match. To quote Sheamus, banger after banger after banger. She really is.
She's putting on some great matches. Mariah May is putting on some great matches.
Mariah May is showing everybody right now that, like, her character work. I think her character work outside of, there is one group that's operating on a different level right now in AEW, but her character work is up there with like MJF character work right now. It's fantastic.
And let's not forget, we're getting this character work from her after she took the title from Toni Storm, who was doing all of her character work. Which, I'm not saying that this wasn't, a passing of the torch, so to speak, in this case, but like, goddamn, they are doing both of them have been doing some great work. Willow's doing great work. We all picked Mariah on this one, and Mariah took it. And I don't think this is, we all kind of knew this was too soon for Mariah to be losing the title. Yeah. I think Mariah needs a lengthy title reign. until they do the Australian show. And then I could see her losing the belt back to Tony.
Potentially.
And kind of how we said it's a forever feud. I could see we've talked about forever feuds. I could see Mariah and Tony being one of those things where they circle back around. They're Trish and Lita. They're Rock and Austin. They're those types of people.
Yeah, and you can't go wrong with that right now. Like if you shorten Mariah May's title reign right now and to a length where it becomes where, even though she's not a transitional champion, the length of time suggests it, you cheapen what's happening. And Willow comes out the other side of this, and I still stand by claims I made when I first joined the show with all of you that I think they're trying to circle all the way back to Willow and Mercedes Moné.
I think so as well. I think we're gonna unless something else huge comes before that, like unless there's something else that we have to get. I think because we still haven't gotten a rubber match between the two of them,
and I don't think we will before the end of the year.
No, I think I wouldn't be surprised, just knowing how Tony books, that we get some type of tournament to crown a number one contender for a TBS championship, and it's Willow.
Does love the tournament.
He loves them tournaments. But this match, awesome. I have nothing bad to say about this match. Nothing. Not a single aspect of this match has me scratching my head or, trying to figure out. I thought Mariah winning cleanly was the right choice. I think she's doing a lot of good stuff right now, and this was the right way to go about this.
So one thing in all of these reviews, I've been kind of assigning letter grades. And yeah, the placement of that match hurts it, but it hurts it with the crowd. It doesn't hurt what those two wonderful women
the match
did.
Was. Yeah, so, what they did.
Jay White and Hangman, for me, was a solid A. Mariah May and Willow was a solid B+, bordering on an A.
I agree. It was like an 89-90.
Yeah. Still made the honor roll, but wasn't the highest grade of your honor roll.
Wasn't distinguished honors type thing. You didn't get a 4.0. You had a solid 3.7 though.
That phrase hits just too close to home. Sorry, Legion out there. When I set out for a 4.0 in college, and then statistics happened, and graduating with a 3.9.
So then, let's move on to match number 3. I think this might have been my favorite match on the card. This is actually a toss-up between this and Hangman and Jay White for me, but I think it's actually this. And that's Jack Perry. Yes, I'm saying that, Legion. I was Jack Perry and Katsuyori Shibata put on what was probably my favorite match of the night. I don't think it was necessarily the match of the night, but it was my favorite match of the night.
So and this was the takeaway I had from it, because we kind of talked about this match ahead of time. The right finish happened, but you had a moment where Jack Perry, who I don't know him, I've never met him in real life. He strikes me as somebody who is like Napoleon complex, like the small friend who's going to get like a lot of my friends who got me into some crap because, I got the big guy with me, kind of thing.
You know who we're talking about, by the way.
But he had he tried to do that, we would have witnessed an actual murder, which AEW has flirted too much with in the past. We would have witnessed a murder when Shibata kneed Jack Perry's face off of his body. So I'm glad. I think he needed a Shibata in there to kind of big brother him and keep him in line, and also remind him that you're a solid worker. You've got a bright future. Everything else, but if you get out of line, these forearm shots that I throw that just are devastating, and they're going to land a little bit closer to the jawline than the neck
They
now.
might get a little stiffer. They might get a little potatoey.
Yes.
I will say this. Since being in AEW, this is also the best version of Shibata that I've seen.
Well, Shibata had to battle back from a lot.
He has to battle. He has had to battle back from a lot over the last several years. I believe they said 2017, 2018 was when he had the brain aneurysm.
Yeah, and was it a
It was
brain
either
aneurysm,
2017 or it was either
or was it
20.
spinal fluid leaking into his brain? I can't remember.
It was something where he had to have some sort of brain surgery, and if they didn't get it as quickly as they did, he would have been dead. Here's the thing, and maybe it's just because of who Shibata has been associated with since its time in AEW. I hate to say it, but him and Hook kind of did a little bit of a comedy gimmick with how they were doing stuff with Samoa Joe and things like that, where he's kind of fallen under the radar for me. And Shibata did a lot of the things in this match that under normal circumstances is very, very reminiscent of the Japanese style of match that I don't like. And when he did them, I liked him doing them. So just to give you examples, Hound, I don't like machine gun chops. I hate machine gun chops. 9 times out of 10. Shibata's machine gun chops that night looked like they hurt. They looked the right way. It looked like someone actually was firing back and hitting mini bullets into Jack Perry's chest the whole time. And you could say that they were stiff or whatever they were. I just think they looked right. I normally don't like the idea of welcoming someone to hit you, but in this case with Jack Perry, it makes sense. The stuff Shibata did tonight or during this show made sense to me. And maybe it's because it wasn't overly done at this point, but it was this match struck the way I felt it should have, the chords it should have struck.
Yes, two reasons why I think it's resonating with you, like the things like that. First of all, it's happening to Jack Perry. Jack Perry has a punchable face.
He does have a punchable face.
So there's that. So it's already like, yeah, smack him around good. That, and you already know what you're getting with Shibata. Like if it was Shibata and Eddie Kingston, we'd be having a different conversation right now. We'd be talking about how it was terrible. Jack Perry right now being a younger guy who you could tell he was in there and he had respect for the person he was in the ring with. And I think that was my biggest takeaway from it. And I will say, kudos to Jack Perry. I was never on Team Jungle Boy at all. And, sir, well done.
Yeah. You know what? Another golf clap for you guys. That match deserves a golf clap. This match was a solid A in my book. And again, I think the first 3 matches of this card are the best 3 matches of this card. If you are looking for, let me explain too. They might not be the matches of the night, but if you were to go back and you needed to show 3 matches from this card to kids at a wrestling school, these are the 3 matches I would show. Because you could do these matches almost universally.
Well, that and all 3 showed something a little different. The commonality they showed, the commonality they showed is they showed high level between the ropes, but you saw the ability to technically to pull off like a technical reversal finish in the ending of Page and White. You saw incredible storytelling with May and Nightingale. And with this, you saw 2 dudes who went out there and, I mean, both you and I have been in matches that have gotten a little bit, let's say,
chippy, if you will.
Friendly, if you will, per se. And
yeah,
sometimes
mine was with Showtime.
Well, you two have been best friends forever. That's one thing I wish that would have happened is I would have had a triple threat with you and Showtime. Not because I wanted to chop both of you as hard as I could. Or
No, not at all. No, I'm glad we established that.
no, it
My
was
chest
never.
hurts thinking about it, by the way.
Oh
You
my
big
gosh.
bully, you
I was
monster.
listen, okay, just because I could do a Hurricane Karana and Nia Jax couldn't doesn't mean anything.
It's fair. All right. Jesus Christ. So we get Jack Perry going over on this. Again, I think this was the right choice. We all had
It was.
Jungle Boy winning on this one. I think, and again, I see Jack Perry holding this title for a little while and continuously establishing him as a premier holder of this title.
And it gives credence to the title. That title has been hot potatoed a little bit too much.
A bit too much, and even when it wasn't being hot potatoed, it felt like it was on a back burner at that point.
It felt like it was on the wrong person a lot.
With Christian and with Adam Copeland, I felt like it was on the wrong person. Like they didn't need that title for that feud.
No.
So let's move on to I want to say the match that made all three of us really happy. And that was Will Ospreay versus Ricochet versus Konosuke Takeshita for the international title. Will Ospreay is the reigning defending champion going into this match. All three of us got this right, and I think all three of us thought we were getting this wrong.
So I had this weird thing. I was like, I'm glad it was the right move to put it on Takeshita because I will say this: you and I had been kind of criticizing Ricochet, and I was saying maybe we're witnessing somebody getting old in the ring, and we're watching it happen. Like we talked about it. We've seen professional fighters, we've seen basketball players, football players. You can see them get old on the field or in the ring. Ricochet is looking like he's feeling more comfortable. And he's starting to do Ricochet things again. Well,
so I'm gonna go with
ahead.
what you just said before I agree with you, and I think part of it is the fact that he went back to kind of older gear for himself. I don't know if those bell bottoms were doing him any favors.
Bell bottoms don't do anybody favors, but
that's right. So I'll let you get back to your point. I'm sorry, I just wanted to say that for Ricochet.
Ricochet and Ospreay are going to orbit each other, and I think before the year is out, we're going to get the Ricochet Ospreay match everybody is clamoring for, where we had mentioned on another show about for AEW trying to make like a groundswell. You're going to get your 15-second clips here where everybody's like, oh my God, can you believe that they did this? And just being like, that's incredible that this happened because this person did 97 flips in the air. And how did they do that kind of thing? Which not my favorite type of thing, but it's needed right now. And also there was a point where I was convinced Ricochet died.
Yeah, Ricochet
what
is
the hell
right
did Takeshita do to him? He did a thing, and I went, "Oh no, we watched him dead." Somebody called Samantha Irvin. She's sad now.
Yeah, it was that weird driver off the apron through the table, and Ricochet be dead now. Him dead. We hologram wrestled after this, but Ricochet is going to wrestle as a hologram for the rest of his career now.
Yeah, we're going to be looking at AI Ricochet. Yeah, no.
AI Ricochet,
murdered him.
I will say this. I feel like that Falcon Arrow that Takeshita does as his main finisher, I don't know if that's the right finisher for him. That's the only critique I ever have of Takeshita, truthfully, and it's not just because of the name of the show, guys. Takeshita should be doing a lariat.
Takeshita should be doing a strike of some kind.
Yeah, like if he nailed that lariat on, you're telling me he doesn't nail a lariat as good as maybe a JBL does?
He definitely does.
Him be up there. He's up there, man. Like every strike that he nailed during this match hurt me in my soul.
Mm-hmm. And you don't have one.
My Showtime has it. He won it years ago.
This is true. Yeah, no, I mean, yes, Takeshita throws an incredible lariat. I could see him taking some kind of and this thing, it doesn't have to be one. The dude is so phenomenal. You could have him have a series of different things. His take on a claymore, his take on a Yakuza kick or a haluva kick, his take on a V trigger, his take on a lariat, his take on a European uppercut. Just something where I keep suggesting where these bang out of nowhere things come up with a guy for a submission. Takeshi could be a knockout artist.
I mean, I believe that all those forearm shots that he nailed Ospreay and Ricochet with, they hurt.
There was bad intentions. There were ungood intentions upon all of them.
And every one of them looked in there like they looked snug. They might not have been potatoed, but they knew what they were selling.
Yeah.
No one had to question what was coming at them. Takeshita takes this with some outside interference. I had been saying, do we think that Kyle Fletcher is going to double cross him? I know all three of us have been a little flip-floppy on whether or not Fletcher was going to actually double cross Will Ospreay, and we got our answer. Obviously, I kind of like this. I like the idea of having Ospreay and Fletcher kind of off to the side, not dancing around this title for a while.
You can't go wrong here with that. I think a good thing right now is keep Ospreay away from that belt for a little bit. Like, don't have him get the rematch with Takeshita right now. Nothing like that, because if you take that belt off Takeshita after this, you're killing the storyline. And you can have Ricochet be like, you tried to murder me, and then have Takeshita murder him again, which is fine. The whole thing here is let Ospreay do his thing. And I just have a weird thought, because I think we are getting close to Kenny Omega return. I wonder if somehow there's going to be Kenny Omega and Will Ospreay burying the hatchet to go after the Callis family.
I don't know. I mean, let's hope. I think there's been a lot of alluding to it, right? Like where they're trying to figure it out, and I would like I don't know. I want to see where they're gonna go. If it's gonna be Omega Takeshita, or I'm sorry, Omega and Ospreay. Although saying now that I just said it out loud, I don't know if I completely hate the idea of Omega Takeshita.
They were already building a whole bunch of that before Kenny got sick.
And I think they could really, really do something well with that. Again, who knows? Diverticulitis, I say this, I've said this before, is a very, very tricky illness in your as far as a disease in your intestines. Regardless of whether or not I'm always the biggest Kenny Omega fan, in between the ropes, there is never a point that I want any talent or anyone on this planet to go through true pain. And if he is not healthy enough to come back, I am okay with him having to do what he has to do. So, Kenny Omega, please take care of what you need to take care of. I am excited if you are coming back. I think, honestly, some of the promos / semi promos that you have cut on Twitch have actually been some of the best speaking engagements of your entire career. Ospreay, I'm really excited about seeing Ospreay versus Fletcher for a few months. I'm excited to see how they recreate AI Ricochet. And I'm very excited that Konosuke Takeshita is our new international champion.
I'm excited and thankful that Konosuke Takeshita exists because he's a breath of fresh air right now in pro wrestling. He really is.
He's something different.
Yeah.
And again, he's Bolo Young. I said it.
Yeah.
He's a scary dude.
I wouldn't want to fight him. I'd do it. I don't think it goes well for me.
I don't think it goes well for anybody. But like, here's the question: you in your prime, throwing your lariat versus Takeshita's lariat.
I'd have cut him in half. I would have cut him clean in half. I say that because he's not here.
And because he might not be able to understand what we're saying.
Yeah, no, it was a compliment. Don't worry.
Uh-huh. I'm gonna pay to have you take Konosuke Takeshita's lariat.
I'm gonna no-sell it.
Yeah.
And that'll go over real well.
All of a sudden you see him hit the other rope and come back with another one. It's like, and it's me and you in the pool all over again, except for this time you're me. Jesus Christ.
Oh, right. Good Lord.
Oh,
that's
man.
Funny.
Okay, so let's move on to a match. Oh. Hiding in the stove, eh? All right, Lord. So this match was another one that it didn't have any favors done to it, done for it by where it was, because they had to follow Ospreay, Ricochet, and Takeshita. Of course, I also don't know where else they would have put this match. And that was Hologram versus the Beast Mortos in a 2 out of 3 falls match. We all picked Hologram. We all knew this was what was going to go down. The Beast Mortos continues to impress me, though, man. Hologram, he impresses me, and I think there's something fun to watch about him. But I don't know if he's... I don't know if he's the new Ray. I don't know if he's the new... I don't know. He doesn't strike me as young Ray. He doesn't strike me as young Hoofy even. He doesn't hit me as a young, amazing Red even.
My fear for Hologram is he is just flavor of the month.
I get that feeling. I hate saying it like that because he does some fun stuff.
But he's also, right now, they're doing it right with him, though. They're putting him in there with people he's comfortable with. Truthfully, and this is, when AI Ricochet is ready, let AI Ricochet and Hologram both not be in the ring with each other, putting on a match. One's a hologram. Yes,
it's a real life video game at this point.
Yes, but it's
oh my god, that's what they should do. They can have AI Ricochet versus Hologram in a video game match and have literally 2 kids on the outside just holding controllers. And whoever wins, you just see him hold up the controllers like, yay!
I love the silliness of it, but at the same point, we also are trying to get away from the whole opening the Skittles and saying, taste the rainbow.
I'm just saying, I just said this. TK, Tony, I know you will steal an idea like this from me. If you take my idea and you don't contact me and give me credit for this of some way, shape, or form, I'm going to be so mad. I'm going to be so mad at you. And you know you don't want people mad at you.
It's going to be called a joystick match. God damn it. God damn it.
God, I hope they have Atari controllers.
But Beast Mortos is proving that he is significantly better than people thought he was. And I'm happy for it. I love seeing people overperform. And if he continues on like this, it'll become undeniable. And I hope they could find a way to use him properly.
I would like to see them utilize him properly. He's one of those guys that I could see him, if they started using the TNT title as like a true television championship, I could see the Beast Mortos winning that title.
Or even if they move the TNT title, and I know that we don't necessarily have weight classes anymore, but try to focus it in a cruiserweight realm.
Had like a cruiserweight title, or for a sake of an argument, an X division title.
Yeah, but don't add another goddamn title. Just repurpose one of the 12.
Look, I'm happy enough they took away the FTW title at this point.
But the only way they're allowed to add another title is if they make one more gaudy than the goddamn Saudi title, and it's for the cruiserweights, so that way they can't even lift it. Then I'm
Yeah,
in.
like it's bigger than all of them.
Oh my god! Now I need this to happen. Damn it!
Um,
It's the worst idea ever. I love
it's
it.
one of our worst ideas.
I love
So
it.
Hologram goes over in this one. He gets, I believe he got the first and the third fall, if I recall correctly.
I believe you were
This
right.
this match is a little, I don't know. Hologram gets a little wonky in there for me. Now then, this unfortunately is the match that Hound this takes you out of contention completely on this show, and that was Darby Allin versus Brody King. Um, Brody King ended up taking finally lost to Darby Allin, and they had a respectful handshake at the end of all this. Which again, if you listen to any of our other episodes, you will find out some of my theories on this. But I will save that for you to go listen to our other episodes, folks. I really liked. Again, this was a Darby match, and this was a Brody King match, and this was a Darby versus Brody King match. There's not much more I can say about this. I didn't dislike it, but it's definitely not my favorite match.
No, I completely agree. And while we're doing this, I'm looking this up because I think I just misremembered the whole thing with it, where I thought, and this is completely on me, I thought that Brody had never beaten Darby. I had that in my head, and I believe, and this is something that I heard, it was that Darby finally got his victory over Brody, and I was like, what are you talking about? Hasn't Darby won every one of them? And I think I just completely misremembered it, and I'm just trying to look it up right now.
So the way I know it is that Darby has just never gotten a true pinfall over Brody King, and like 90% of their matches, including on the independents, Brody has won.
Let's see here.
And even in AEW, they said like they were showing like the choke out situation and stuff like that where he just choked him unconscious.
Yeah, no, the Brody had won every one of them, and I just completely misremembered the entire thing. I had the entire thing backwards in my head, so it was the theory that I had behind it was sound. I just had completely had a brain fart. But I will say this, Mr. Zapf, if you will, enjoy your victory.
This still only takes me down to like, what is it, 11. Mike still has me by 11 at this point.
Listen, until this whole thing resets at WrestleMania, then we will get a replica of the Saudi belt, and we will make sure that whoever has it, and then every show has to endure having that 900 pounds on your shoulder the entire time.
Even if it's just cubic zirconia, that's a lot of CZ.
I hope it's only cubic zirconia. And then for the next time, and if it's you, if you're interviewing somebody again, it doesn't matter. You have to wear it the whole time.
I'm gonna wear it. I'm gonna have it around my chest, actually.
Well, yeah, it's gonna go from your goddamn waist to your neck.
It's the size of my torso. I'm 6'2", by the way, if anyone's wondering. This match, like I said, this match delivered how I thought it was going to deliver. We kind of said if they're going to keep Darby in the world title picture or dancing around a main event picture, he had to win this. And they had him win it. They had him win it clean. You get to show respect at the end. And this kind of, again, plants seeds for storylines to come, if you will. So let's talk about the middle-aged Bucks versus Diet Street Profits. otherwise known as Young Bucks versus Private Party for the AEW Tag Team Championship. There was never going to be a world where the Young Bucks lost these titles. Not in this match. Not yet.
Not in any match ever.
I'm pretty sure you're going to have to pry those tag team titles out of the Bucks' cold, dead hands. Again, and we don't know the Bucks, but if any wrestler came off in the realm of believing their own hype, it is the Young Bucks.
Yeah. I try not to cuss while I'm on here, and Steve knows me in real life. I tend to use curse words as punctuation marks because I'm usually ranting about something. The Bucks are so far up their own asses and believe their own bullshit so much. And I hate that I've gotten to that point with them because I used to look forward to the weekly Being the Elite YouTube thing. I was super into it. And now, yes, incredible tag team. Undeniable that they are an incredible tag team. Their style isn't always my style, but just because it's not my style does not diminish how actually talented they are, because they are talented. But you're also existing with the with FTR, who might be the best who I think is the best tag team on the planet, and you have to say is in contention for greatest tag team of all time. They're in the conversation.
They are in the conversation. I wasn't actually disagreeing with you. I'm saying if we could get FTR versus some prime tag teams, like tag teams that were in their prime.
LOD. Oh my God.
LOD, the
Steiner Brothers, Doom, Nasty Boys.
Let's call it what it is. Let's get the old Lions versus the young Lions. Let's get FTR versus Tully and Arn.
Yeah.
Let's see it. Let's see the Horsemen / Brainbusters versus FTR. Let's see what the old school can do against the new version of them.
Well, and that is the highest compliment we could pay FTR.
They're the Horsemen.
Well, but
they're the Brainbusters.
That comparison right there, and I firmly believe they would, would receive that as such, as a compliment of that high level. But yeah,
them versus the Rock and Roll Express would be amazing.
And back to the whole Young Bucks thing. You've got FTR there, and then, oh my God, why do I want to keep calling them the Blade Runners? And that's not correct. What is that team?
The Outrunners.
Thank you. The Outrunners. Yeah,
who are so over right now.
And at least I wasn't remembering them as like the Outhouses. Okay, like it's better that I remember them as like a cheesy 80s movie than place to go take a shit.
Yes, they are the Outrunners. Okay. Turbo Floyd and Truth Magnum.
So good. I love that so much.
Yes, so
I want to be them when I grow up.
Fast Mayweather and Honesty Condom. Yeah, I said it.
But yeah, so I think I would love to see the Outrunners have the titles. I would love that somehow. It's not going to happen off the Young Bucks, but I would love to see that. But I mean, look, it was a match. It was a Private Party Young Bucks match. Was it my favorite? No. If I was giving it a grade, it's a B minus. It did its job.
I think Private Party did what they were supposed to do in this. Yeah. I think they showed up. I think even moving forward with this, I don't think that they are the guys that need to be in the conversation with more of the stuff with the Blackpool Combat Club, the Combat Blackpool Club, whatever we want to call them, the MWO.
Moxley World
Order. I don't think they need to be in that conversation, but I think we're at the point where we need to start talking about them, where they'll be in 2 or 3 years. And I know I keep saying 2 or 3 years with some of these wrestlers or some of these tag teams, but the fact of the matter is they're all young, and we need to work on their identities a little bit and their characters, and I know I used the term produce them a little bit more. The Bucks are a prime example of this. If the Bucks were genuinely produced and did what they were told sometimes, I think they would be better in the long run.
So I'm going to say this, and this is something I think I would like for you and I, since we're the ones who handle the AEW stuff, to look at. Let's stop worrying so much about the next 2-3 years down the road, because we kind of we buried the lead a few times here already with things that we're saying. But let's focus on what's happening now and give this stuff time to cook.
That's
Because
the thing, is I think Private Party is just there. Truthfully, I don't think it's 2 or 3 years. I think Private Party is about 6 months away from really hitting a real stride.
which is fine to work into a story you're alluding to. But
Yeah.
let's see if it plays out.
We got to see how things are playing out. The Bucks take this pretty cleanly because that's what the Young Bucks do in their matches. And we get a match that we all got right also for the Ring of Honor World Title, and that was Mark Briscoe versus Chris Jericho, with the memory of Jay kind of hanging over this whole thing.
That match had no right being as good as it was.
No, but I'm also almost not surprised that it was as good as it was. Listen, for all the flack that I give Chris Jericho, at the end of the day, he's still Chris Jericho. And he might be, to quote the song, he might not be as good as he once was, but he can damn sure be as good once as he ever was. And sometimes you just need that one. And this might have been that one for Jericho to come out and be like, hey, don't forget who the hell I am. And don't forget to put some respect on my damn name.
The match was good. It was really good. It's not just good as an understatement. It was really, really good. If we're going to go letter grade, the right ending happened. The right person won. Jericho looked fantastic. This is another one where I'd say it's an A-. They did a great job.
Definitely. And I will never not love Mark Briscoe, by the way.
It's hard not to. I'm a fan of the redneck kung fu and the froggy bow.
I love the redneck kung fu. I love the froggy bow. I love the build up for this, how Mark Briscoe built himself up with this.
He was a little bit of a darker version of himself.
He got
his
serious.
Character needed it.
He needed to be serious for this role. And I like that. I like when they were leading into this, he was, we're not going to have words of the day about this. You brought up my brother. You spoke ill of the one person in this world that I had a real connection with, my brother. You don't get this. I'm not going out there to do redneck kung fu. I'm not going out there to hit a froggy bow and smile for the crowd. I'm going out there to beat you up. And I felt it.
Yeah, and kudos to Chris Jericho. He was the right person to get that out of Mark, and Mark's character has needed that for a while. So
Mark should, like that's the thing, is Mark should be the biggest babyface in that company right now.
Yes.
But like we said, the right ending came about this. The match was great. I agree with you. Solid A-. Actually, I think this might be another one of the ones with having this in between, having this just before the main event. Unfortunately, with crowd placement and match placement hurts it a little bit. This could have gone on maybe a little earlier on the card. But the problem is where it would be. We'd have to rearrange the whole card at this point.
Yeah, I mean, it's hindsight's normally 20/20, but at this point we'd be looking at a completely different thing.
We'd be looking at a completely different match order, and all around, if that's my biggest knock on it, is match placement. This is a pretty good match. All right, let's get to the main event of the evening. The main main event. And that is Bryan Danielson, the American Dragon, the AEW defending World Heavyweight Champion, versus Jon Moxley, with the title on the line and Bryan Danielson's career on the line. And things happened here.
All right, so I'll touch on this because so none of us saw this coming. We speculated on it, and the whole reasoning behind it was, well, why would it be Moxley right now? And if you do that, then Bryan Danielson never defeated Moxley in AEW, and you have relegated him to literally being a tier below Jon Moxley, and that's just not reality. So that was the thought process behind it. And the whole, all right, I'm going to go until we can. And then there was that story that came out where Danielson was like, I was in the ring and I couldn't feel my legs anymore. And it turns out, man, he's in bad shape. So I get it. And more I've read, turns out that Danielson the entire time had intended to drop the belt to Moxley.
I heard he chose Moxley. I am going to say this. When this first happened, I was a little perturbed. I didn't like the ending, not because of Moxley winning it. I think I didn't like the ending because I didn't like the ending. I didn't like, and originally, this was the moment where the fan in me came out. And I think this is to the credit of Bryan Danielson and even to the credit of Jon Moxley on this one. I'm going to give them both their flowers. They managed to do something. They pulled the fan out of me because I was mad that Bryan Danielson was going to lose and he was going to end his career, but he wasn't going to be able to have his hero's goodbye in the ring the way he kind of deserves. I have since changed my tune on this a little bit because I do think that he can still have his hero's goodbye. I think he's going to go have his neck surgery, and I think he's going to come in and he's going to leave his boots in the ring in a interview in a few months, probably once some of this simmers down a little bit, dies down a bit, so that it's not such a hot topic. And I think I'm not as mad about it as I thought I was going to be. I think I was mad in the moment, and I'm not so mad anymore.
So I'm okay with all of that, provided that when that happens, that we don't have the Moxley World Order coming down there to ruin that moment for him. I was really bothered that they revisited the plastic bag spot. I get it, but I get the significance behind it. With you doing
Showtime brought this up too, and I agree. I don't like the plastic bag. I just don't like the spot. And it could just be where we're at in the world. But Showtime brought this up on a side note about a couple days, or like right after the spot happened, and he said it, and I've heard a couple other people say it now. You kind of broke the seal with it. You did it already. And you did it on a pay-per-view again, and I agree with you. It's not my that spot is not my jam. But especially in this case, this is not the most egregious version of violence and like depravity that they have done. Unfortunately, there was no date rape afterwards.
Well, this is kind of where I'm getting at with it. It's the visual of it, and the whole, well, they broke the seal on it and everything else. I'm sorry, man, but that shit don't fly with me. We've all worked for a company where you go someplace and they're like, oh, well, that's just insert company here's way. And it's like, okay, so how does that make it okay?
Again, and I'm not saying it is.
And I'll die on this hill. You can accomplish the same thing without putting it over the head. That's only thing you take away from that, because we're supposed to be suspending disbelief. We're not supposed to be believing you're trying to kill Bryan Danielson. And they're taking that too far. And the fact that it's more of a commentary on just where people are at in the world at this point. That, well, we broke the seal on it. You know what? At that point, go watch a snuff film. You've broken the seal on that too. Then, so I'm sorry, but that carries no water with me. Maybe it's the dad in me coming out right now. But
my thing is I'm surprised that we're so okay with this, given the current climate of just the world.
I'm not okay with it at all.
But like, you get what I'm saying, that like so many people are so okay with this, but so many people are so not okay with other things. And this seems so much worse than, like, you get what I'm saying? Like, I don't agree with the spot. I don't like the spot. I understand Mike's thought process on this, so I'm not disagreeing with what his thought process is. I am not in the position where I needed them to give Daniel Bryan his hero's farewell. And kind of the end of this show, the last thing that we get a view of is Darby, Hook, Private Party, and Orange Cassidy trying to come out and save them. So I have a couple issues with just the way the Mox World Order is working out. One, I have no problem with you telling me that Claudio, Moxley, Pac, and even Yuta are tougher than most of the guys on your roster. But you haven't really established having Marina Shafir kind of beat the dog shit out of Bryan Danielson at one point, and like really, and I get it. She's a real MMA fighter. I understand that. But at the same time, you're absolutely putting a hat on the hat, because now you have her playing that enforcer role, being China basically, while you also have Camille being China. And truthfully, and it could just be me watching it, maybe they are that good at doing it. Some of those spots that it looks like she's thrown in there, they look like they're getting a little bit too snug, and you're going to get someone in the heat of things who's going to give you a receipt soon.
All right, so it doesn't matter that the faces that we saw at the end as Bryan Danielson was being taken away don't seem legitimate threats right now. Because right now there can't be a legitimate threat for what they're doing.
There can't be a legitimate threat to them. Which I agree with that. That's the only thing, though, is those guys are not, they're not it.
Well, they're not it right now. We got to see, like, let's let it cook. I don't think they'll get there, but I'm trying to give more benefit of the doubt. And I'm trying to do less armchair booking for Tony Khan at this point. It's, again, I think AEW's had a lot of growing pains, and I've been suggesting that they need a groundswell and a restart, and this might just be the formula for it. So I'm going to give them an opportunity to allow things to play out. They have my attention they have my attention and my interest right now with goodwill, I would say, until like February. And if you don't push this in a proper direction, you're going to I'll start to lose faith. But I'm going to give them, that's what, essentially about 120 days from now?
Yeah, about 4 months. Solid 4 months.
Give them a third of a year.
Give them a nice quarter. No, third of a year. Yeah. You get the nice area for that. Like I agree with you. I think we need to let this cook. Let it see where we're gonna go with kind of everybody. I will say this: if after all of this, Danielson gets his neck surgery and then tries to come back again, I think I'm going to be a little disappointed.
I think he's ready to be a dad. I think he's going to be involved in AEW, and that might be the learning tree Tony Khan needs to sit under. But
I think that could be it. I think there's again, I don't want to see Danielson come back and try to like exact revenge on the NWO.
No, and if they're going to do something, because if he comes back and he can, it's once in a great while he might get a match out of him, and it might not be the worst thing in the world where we're talking, 2 years from now, he puts Yuta over as like a cementing thing. But again, we'll cross those bridges if and when we get to them.
If and when. But like I said, all around WrestleDream, quality pay-per-view. I think if, like you said, if we're giving letter grades on this, I give this pay-per-view a solid B.
I'd say, yeah, high B, potentially getting close to a B+.
Yeah, absolutely. Like we're looking in the 85 to 87. If we're going percentage, 85 to 87. And I think a lot of it is, unfortunately, especially for us specifically, the end of the show left a little bit of a rotten taste in our mouth, especially for Hound. I know but overall, Hangman, Jay White, great match. Mariah May, Willow Nightingale, great match. Jack Perry, Shibata, great match. Ospreay, Ricochet, Takeshita. Ricochet's dead, and Takeshita won the title. Hologram versus Beast Mortos. Good match. Solid for what it was. Also probably could have been on the countdown. Darby versus Brody King. Again, exactly what it needed to be. Bucks Private Party. It was a Bucks and Private Party match. It was better than what it could have been, at least. Briscoe and Jericho, I thought, like we said, is probably one of the better matches. It didn't have the right to be as good as it was. And Danielson and Moxley, it accomplished kind of what it needed to accomplish. At least the match did. The end of the match, the end of the show is almost like a completely different animal at that point.
Exactly.
So that leaves us, final score for Wrestle Dream is me with 8 correct, Showtime with 7 correct, and you with 6 correct this time, Mr. Hound Dog.
Oh, well.
Oh, well. Well, folks, this has been Wrestle Dream. Next time we do a review will be on TNA's Bound for Glory, which is due for October 26th. Is the date for the show. I'm very excited about that show. I think it's going to be awesome. We also believe that a certain 252 pounds of inspiration is going to walk out with the TNA World title. I'm not saying his name. I'm not doing it this time because the last time we talked, I had to put in 15 pictures of that guy with his big toothy Beetlejuice grin.
Are you No, I won't do it to you.
Don't do it.
Does his name rhyme with Smo Smendry?
Yes.
Okay.
It does. But Hound Dog, thank you again for us getting this one out for the people. Honestly, like I said, I think Wrestle Dream we said it during the preview. I think it lived up to what we thought it was going to be as far as a better show than what it was presented originally.
It wasn't Wrestle Mid-Afternoon Nap as we were kind of making
it was not
a joke.
It was kind of like Wrestle Afternoon Delight.
Sky rockets at night. Afternoon delight. Jesus Christ. On that note, folks, thank you so much. As always, thank you for giving us your most precious resource, your time. And God bless, and we'll speak to you soon.
And as always, folks, remember, if you agree with our picks, if you disagree with our picks, if you agree with our reviews, if you disagree with our reviews, let us know. Let us know why. We love to hear from you. Legion, we do love you. And as always, tuck your chin when you bump.